Without good sleep, you dramatically increase your risk of developing dementia and cognitive decline as you age, but also you dramatically increase your risk of mental illness, including depression and anxiety, let alone increase your risk of a failing memory and an inability to make good and well-balanced decisions. It is imperative that you get a good night's sleep. Sleep repairs not only the brain but the body. It is integral, it is imperative, it is crucial for a life of health and well-being. So what things can you do? What 4 things can you do? Behaviours that you can adopt that can dramatically improve and control your sleep. Let's get into them. First one is establish routines. You know, your brain is an habitual thing. Everything you do, probably 90% of the things that you do every day are because of the habits that you've developed. The skills that you've developed over your lifetime that have now become habitual that you do without even thinking. You might think of like riding a bike. Now you might have learned to ride a bike when you're a kid, but you get on a bike now, maybe you haven't ridden a bike for 20 years. As soon as you get on a bike, within 30 seconds, you're back into the routine. You're back into that skill. Why? Because it's this firmly established pattern of neurons in your brain that have built that skill when you were younger. Do you know that when you establish routines in your day, particularly both night and morning, your brain then habitualizes them and it knows when you're going to move towards sleep. So having a night routine, and aren't new parents taught this? They taught establish a routine for a child to get to sleep more easily. Over time, you need to establish a routine. So what do parents do? They might feed them, they might bath them, they might read them a story, they might play a song as they go to sleep. Whatever it is, they establish a routine so that the child's brain now goes, oh, now we're preparing for sleep. So it more easily then moves towards doing that. Your body has an internal clock. It's called the circadian rhythm, and it develops through childhood, but as we get older. So this circadian rhythm is working for you. You need to improve it. You need to reinforce it by developing routines in the evening, but also in the morning, because your circadian clock resets itself in the morning depending on your morning routine. So when you get out at first light and you allow the light to enter your eyes, your brain then says, oh, we're starting our day, I'll start the clock running. So you're already setting up your night by the first thing you do in the day. So as early as you can, get out, let natural light flow into your eyes so that you can reset that circadian clock. The other thing that happens in the evening is we start to increase what we call our melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that will aid us in getting into sleep, and it gradually increases over the course of the day, maximizes in the evening, preparing us for sleep. Now, if that increasing melatonin and that increasing circadian rhythm correspond, you are most easily going to get into sleep. So what stimulates melatonin? Particularly in the evening, it's the reduction of light. So what can you do, as well as establishing a routine, you can reduce your light. So if you're lucky enough to have a home where you can reduce lighting as the evening progresses, dim the lights down, this tells the body, hey, quick, the light is going. You can imagine when we were cavemen living out in the Stone Age and the sun was gone down, there was only the starry night, maybe the campfires dimming down. This is all an evolutionary preparation for going to sleep. So reduce your light. And this also means, particularly in the last hour before you go to bed, is reduce your exposure to blue light from screens like your computer, like your phone, and all those sorts of things that we're all addicted to. But in the last hour before sleep, try and divest yourself of all of that. even turn the TV off if you can do it, and reduce your room lights so that you can prepare yourself. There's a great story told about Pete Sampras, the great tennis player, legendary tennis player, that he found that whenever he was traveling the world playing tennis, if he went into a new hotel room, he had a roll of black tape and he would tape over all the lights in the room, all those annoying little glowing lights on air conditioning and TVs and telephones and all that sort of stuff. He would cover them all up, and if the light was creeping through the blinds or whatever, he would literally tape the blinds up, the curtains, so there was no light coming in. So when he slept, total darkness. And he found that he was way more energetic the next day, way more filled with energy and vitality to do obviously the things that he needed to do. So reduce light as much as is possible, and even as you sleep overnight, make sure that you don't have those annoying street lights coming in through the curtains or whatever it might be that's likely to distract you from sleep. Cover that up. So reducing your light, really integral. Establish your routines, and then reduce your temperature. Now, what do we all like to do as we climb into bed? We get all snuggly and warm. The trouble is, our body actually starts decreasing in its temperature in preparation for sleep. So if you get too warm, you're fighting this natural progression of a reducing temperature, which is preparing you for sleep. So I think it's around 67 degrees or something is kind of maximal. So if you can do that, then that is really helpful. That's Fahrenheit, by the way. And then reduce stimulants. What does that mean? Well, coffee and tea. And I know I'm a coffee lover, so hey, I hear you. But I am one of the people who could drink a double espresso at 11 o'clock at night and still get a good night's sleep. So we all have an enzyme in our liver that deals with coffee. And I obviously have a lot of it, or a good amount of it, and I deal with coffee. So I can do that. It's called being coffee adapted. Now, the only thing about that, later research has shown, is that you might get to sleep, but actually the type and style and way you're sleeping is actually affected. So even if you're coffee adapted and you have it later in the day, it appears to interfere with the good sleep, the deep sleep and the REM sleep that you need to replenish brain and body. So really, probably by lunchtime, you should have done away with your stimulants, your coffee and your tea. And remember that tea has caffeine, and some teas have even more caffeine than coffee. So thinking that you're doing the right thing by having a tea instead of a coffee, maybe not so. Herbal teas, fine, but not your coffee and tea. So reduce your stimulants, preferably stop them around midday. Reduce the temperature of the room. Don't be so tempted to get all snuggly and warm. Reduce your light and establish routines, and you will give yourself the launch pad for a night of good sleep. We'll continue in this vein in the ones ahead. And if you like this, please like, share, subscribe. You might even buy me a coffee in the description below. Also, there's a great book called Why We Sleep by Mathew Walker. I highly recommend it. There'll also be a link in the description to get the book, because that will fill in all the blanks. Hope you found this helpful. Stay with us on the journey. Let's prevent dementia. Let's give you a life that you'll be grateful for when you're in your last days.